Hello and welcome to Lesson 4, Coastal A-Level Geography. This is Lesson 4, all about erosion processes and landforms. Today's going to be a really short one, as we're going to be signposting a lot of other videos that are really helpful for revision. And this is all about the marine erosion and how to identify erosion on photos. And then also these processes of cracks to stumps and wave-cut platforms. And then also just ending with the depositional landforms, spits, tombolos, bars and cuspate forelands. So as I say, it's not going to be much of an explanation video, more of just a signposting to other places where you can get really good in-depth information. So these are the 4 processes of marine erosion, so make sure when you're reading the questions in the exam you're looking at what they're asking for in terms of erosion. So your subaerial processes are your weathering, and your marine erosion are these 4, so this is a recap. So your hydraulic action is all about compressed air being forced into cracks over a long period of time, expanding the crack. So this has to take place over a long period of time. The smacking action of waves into rocks, pushing air into those cracks, exposing it, that takes thousands of years to do. And then your corrosion and abrasion, this is all about throwing material at the cliff, and you can often see this used as a tool and ammunition by the sea to create more erosion. And then attrition, very similar to this but on a smaller size. So with corrosion and abrasion we're talking large scale to do with the whole cliff. Attrition's more to do with the individual bits of sediment within the water itself, and both of these are sandpaper in action. And then finally solution, that's all about the chemical reaction that dissolves the sediment and the cliff face itself, and that's all to do with what the rock is made from. So in most cases, if you're looking at a white faced cliff like the cliffs of Dover, you're looking at calcium carbonate, so your limestone, that has a higher susceptibility to erosion. So they might ask you how these marine processes here have attributed to the formation of these landscapes. So these are 2 separate examples. So you'd have to look at these and take away what you know from the 4 marine processes to see if there's any evidence of that. So with example 1, we've got hydraulic action. So looking at the cliff face itself, you can see that it's misshapen, differential erosion is taking place at a lot of it, and at the base of it, the base of this cliff face, it's sunk in, so it's the wave cut notch. You can see a wave cut notch forming on that due to the waves. You've also got attrition, so you've got smooth sediment, smooth rocks and loads of little rocks. Then you've also got these massive rocks, and quite a lot of these are gathered around the bottom of the cliff. So these haven't fallen off of the cliff as such, but they might have just been thrown at them from somewhere else, and the waves will have done this during high tide. With example 2, it's a bit easier because it's a lot clearer, the image. So we've got hydraulic action, so you can see that further up this cliff the cracks are quite small and you can barely see them. The further down you go, the closer you get to where the water would be, the bigger the cracks. So these cracks are massive and they've been worn away by processes of erosion. Then abrasion, this is a harder one to do. So as you can see, the cliff face is very smooth and it's sort of been polished almost. So that's been caused by abrasion and attrition. And then also just attrition on its own. You can see down at the bottom left there are some smaller pebbles that are smoothed out as well. So I just want to signpost this website. This is where I get quite a lot of the information from. I use these in my lessons. So this is Time for Geography, and they've got all these knowledge booster videos to help at A level, GCSE level and higher, and they're just 3-minute videos. Some of them are a bit longer, that just explain these processes, and it's university lecturers and teachers that have been in the profession for many years, unlike myself. So go and give these a look. They've got loads of videos on each individual type of marine erosion process and landform. So this is a drawing from the textbook that I have taken away because I think it's very useful for you to have. So it'd be worthwhile probably drawing this somewhere, so you've got it for revision. This shows all the processes of erosion, like the landforms that are made. So it goes from crack to cave to arch to stack to stump. So it shows that process. It also shows you wave cut platforms and wave cut notch. So that's just the cliff being retreated back as it's undercut by the waves, leaving behind this platform that's just not eroded at all because it's not in direct contact with waves. And then you've also got geos and blowholes. So the blowholes are going up the joints in the rock, and then the geos are kind of just gaps in between the stages. And sort of like blowholes, they're just massive holes that go all the way down. It's just a massive weakness in the cliff face. So like I say, Time for Geography's got a lovely video explaining how these are formed and how the different erosion processes play into each of these and how they're made. And the same again for the depositional landforms, another diagram that I've taken straight from the textbook. So you've got all the different processes of deposition here. So you've got the processes of longshore drift and how they make tombolos, bars, hooked spits, traditional spits, and cuspate forelands. So the bays and the headlands on the left, and then working all the way over to the spit on the right. Cuspate foreland's probably the hardest one to do here. So a cuspate foreland is just when you've got a secondary prevailing wind. So that's why we've got two different prevailing wind directions on here. So that's how you get a hooked spit, and then also how you get a cuspate foreland.